Hello, I trust all is well with you. Personally, I'm doing quite well, although I keep complaining about the lack of time. Well, somehow more topics have to be tied up recently, plus my huge project, which I'm having more and more problems with. Still learning a lot, so that's good. I won't happen the same errors twice, as it's supposed to be. Regarding today's video, I've been looking forward to this moment in my story. Why? Because I believe it is one of the most important in terms of giving value from my experience. I also believe it can be a powerful warning to many people not to underestimate the significance of one's health and how it's managed. The previous episode of my story ended where I needed roughly 2 months to feel well enough again. 2 months that could have been limited to 2 weeks top, if it wasn't for the constant problems with paperwork or a lack of a place in the hospital. But what does it mean to feel well enough? Probably it all depends on how you look at it and what your perspective is. For me, it meant being able to move my hands in a controlled way, being self-sufficient without having to ask for help with every little task, and being able to go back to work. I wouldn't say that my beginnings immediately after my return were easy. My right hand was getting tired quite quickly, and to top it all off, my neck was getting stiff quickly as well. Given my heightened sensitivity to such symptoms, I made a conscious effort to be cautious about my work habits, ensuring not to overexert myself, etc. Sometimes it came down to shifting a mouse to my left hand. I'm not completely ambidextrous, but if I'd practiced a bit more, it probably wouldn't have been a big problem. Proof on the screen. These are not my original images. I don't know the authors. I just used them for practice with my left hand, and these were made a year after the events I am now talking about. I'll probably come back to them in the future videos. What bothered me most about that situation was that I missed out the opportunity to be promoted to team leader, and it's still bothering me a bit. Before this unfolded, I had a discussion with the two most senior leaders, not from my group, both of whom affirmed that I would assume a leadership role next time the company expanded, owing to the high quality of my work and the level of interaction I maintained with the team. During that conversation, it was asserted that our manager shared the same sentiment, and I had already been included in the plans for the future development. Damn it! You try your best, you fight for what you want in your life, and then your own body says stop, and you're done. You vanish from the company's life for 2 months, and suddenly you cease to matter. You're no longer part of any plans. Personally, I do not see health problems as something that should take a person off the promotion list, especially if they demonstrated potential for reaching ambitions or a desire to grow. Nevertheless, I can comprehend the employer's perspective on this matter. Now, however, an important question arises. Is this situation undergoing any transformation? Can we assert that individuals with health problems are no longer immediately sidelined Personally, I remain unconvinced. On one hand, there are companies that proudly prioritize employing people with disabilities. But to what extent is this a mere display? And to what degree is it genuinely happening? Ask yourself, how many people hide their problems instead of sharing them with their employers? Maybe you are one of them, like I was for many years. If I were to speculate on why this occurs, I believe it stems from the fear of not being accepted for who one is, and perhaps even the apprehension of jeopardizing one's job. Unlikely, really. My husband found a piece of information that a study on 1,200 employees in the USA showed that 60% of them hide personal problems, be it health problems, depression, etc., from their coworkers or employers. I don't know if I can find the right link to this study, but if I do, I'll add it below in the description. And nothing will change on this issue if we remain silent. That is why I do what I do. I thought I'll fit a bit more valuable information into this episode, but still no. This character too was created relatively quickly, so there is not that much material going on in the background. Well, this part was from a work perspective and what disappointments you can't experience if you are not careful about your health. The next one will be about more everyday life and what I used to call aftershocks. Now let me briefly describe the character taking shape before your eyes. Kasmei Ramo is a so-called dragon timekeeper. And funnily enough, I still remember how I came up with this idea and even where I was standing in our flat in Warsaw, Poland. I don't think I've ever concocted a more peculiar profession for a character. On the other hand, it is quite an intriguing idea, although it also makes me wonder how this whole order still survives. After all, having dragons as enemies is not an easy thing to deal with. Nevertheless, here is Kasmei's bio. Kasmei is young and still inexperienced. Additionally, she has spent almost her entire life in a strict and fanatic order dedicated to killing dragons that have overlived their time. She was taught how to gather information on individual dragons, pass it on to the so-called oracle, and ultimately, without a word of objection, end a dragon that has already lived, according to the oracle, too long, even when it involves very young, perhaps not even grown-up dragons. Now she is being given another command, a rather unusual command that doesn't particularly conform to the order's code, which doesn't suit Kasmei. Years ago, when Kasmei was still a child, barely an apprentice, her order had taken a favor from a warlock called Nesme. Remember her or him? Now the young Kasmei has been chosen to repay this debt without any idea that she is actually dealing with the Demon Lord and his evil plans. As always, you can discover more details on my challenge page located on ArtStation. The link is available in the description below, and in the future you will find it somewhere on the screen if you assist me with it. So don't forget to subscribe. With this specific character, my aim was to create the impression of a female character that couldn't be easily classified as a woman at first glance. I leave it up to you to judge how successful I was in achieving that. Again, I could have paid more attention to my character's armor, but I felt time pressure all the time back then, so I didn't play with the details too much. She most likely would have looked more impressive in some more epic armor and in some fighting stance. By the way, have you noticed the spike inside this hammer that she's holding? Normally no warrior would parade around with a weapon made partially of glass and filled with deadly poison. How good that in a world of magic and all sorts of myths, one can afford a bit of madness. Nevertheless, that's it for today. Thanks for your time. I hope this video is of some use to you. Take care of your health, please. Avoid finding yourself in a situation where a false sense of immortality disrupts or even shatters your plans or dreams. See you in the next episode. Bye bye. Go for a walk. Or something. There is one more thing that I need to say for a complete clarity, and I will say it again and again. I am not a doctor or any medical professional. The information I share is based on my personal observations, insights from healthcare providers, physical therapists, and various written sources. It's important to note that what works for me not necessarily be suitable or effective for others. So before adopting any practices or techniques mentioned by me, I strongly advise you to consult with a healthcare professional to ensure that you are not putting yourself at risk or causing harm. See ya.